The King today has proclaimed a state of emergency nationwide until August 1st as a proactive measure to contain the COVID-19 pandemic. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah agreed to the decision after a meeting with Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin on Monday, January 11th. Al-Sultan Abdullah is of the opinion that the transmission of COVID-19 is at a critical stage and there is a need for a declaration of the proclamation of a state of emergency under Article 150 of the Federal Constitution. Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said in a statement that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong decreed that the emergency be in force up to August 1st. He said the proclamation was made for the safety of the people and in the interests of the nation. The Prime Minister has assured the Rakyat that the emergency proclamation declared by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong will not involve a curfew. He assured the people that during the emergency proclamation, the civilian government will continue to function. He further said that the proclamation by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is not a military coup and a curfew will not be enforced. Muhyiddin added the cabinet and state governments will continue to function according to the federal constitution and all laws. The threat to Malaysia's economy due to a sustained spike in COVID-19 cases was the reason the Yang di-Pertuan Agong agreed to proclaim a state of emergency. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said that during the emergency, the King can allow any ordinance to be made to reduce the number of COVID-19 cases, including taking over private hospitals and private property. He said the proclamation of emergency was made under Article 150, subsection 1 of the Federal Constitution. It read, if the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is satisfied that a grave emergency exists, whereby the security or the economic life or public order in the Federation or any part thereof is threatened, he may issue a proclamation of emergency, making therein a declaration to that effect. Clause subsection 1 of the same law states that a state of emergency can be declared before the actual occurrence of the event which threatens the security or the economic life or public order in any part of the country. If the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is satisfied that there is imminent danger, the event may occur.
All elections such as the general elections, state elections and by-elections will not be held during the state of emergency. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said there will be also no Parliament and State Legislative Assembly sitting held during the period. He further said an independent committee would be set up through the ordinance power, which would be proclaimed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong to examine the needs and suitable time for the general election. Muhyiddin said the GE is held as soon as this independent committee is certified that the epidemic has subsided and the election is safe to hold. He said that time is up to the people to choose the government which they feel can take care of the people's welfare.
In the final days of the U.S. Trump administration, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo lifted diplomatic restrictions on Taiwan. In a statement on Saturday, Pompeo said that Taiwanese diplomats will no longer need to follow decades-old rules that have limited their contact with American counterparts. For example, Taiwanese officials were excluded from entering the U.S. State Department for meetings and instead met at hotels. But after the weekend, Pompeo said, "No more. Today I am announcing that I am lifting all of these self-imposed restrictions." Taiwan's de facto ambassador in Washington, B. Kim Shao, tweeted in response, "A huge day in our bilateral relationship." The move will likely increase tension with Beijing just before President-elect Joe Biden takes office on January 20th. China claims the separately ruled and democratic territory of Taiwan and also calls it its most sensitive issue in its ties with the U.S. Although there are no official ties between Taiwan and the United States, the Trump administration has ramped up backing for the island territory with arms sales and the Taipei Act, meant to bolster Taiwan's international recognition. An official from Biden's transition team said the new administration will continue to support a, quote, peaceful resolution of cross-strait issues consistent with the wishes and best interests of the people of Taiwan.
Australia's National Cricket Authority has issued an apology to the visiting players from India over allegations that fans in the crowd hurled racist abuse at them. The Indian team lodged an official complaint after day 3 of the test match on Saturday, after 2 players, Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj, complained of hearing racist slurs whilst fielding near the spectators. 6 people were then ejected from the ground once the issue had been raised with umpires. Another player, Ravi Ashwin, says this isn't the first time such incidents have happened in Australia.
But this is a time where they've actually gone one step higher and used racial abuses. And like we already mentioned, there was an official complaint that we lodged yesterday, and the umpires also mentioned that we must bring it to their notice as it happens on the field.
Justin Langer is the head coach of the Australia cricket team.
I've said for years, it's one of my greatest pet hates in life that people can think they can come to a sporting event, whether it's cricket or any code, and pay their money and think they can abuse or say whatever they like. I mean, I've hated it as a player, I hate it as a coach.
Cricket Australia announced it's working with New South Wales Police to investigate the matter further and promised to take the strongest measures against anyone found guilty.
Southern California is so overwhelmed with coronavirus cases that patients are backed up trying to get into hospitals, and bodies get stuck in another logjam once they leave. At one hospital in Orange County, ambulances loaded with patients are lining up outside waiting for space in the intensive care unit, and COVID-19 patients fill the emergency room hallway. In other hard-hit areas, like nearby Los Angeles County, where people are dying of the disease at the rate of 1 every 8 minutes, refrigerated trailers will be brought in to provide extra storage capacity for bodies. Dr. Jim Keeney is an ER doctor at Providence Mission Hospital in Mission Viejo.
What we're seeing is we become overwhelmed with COVID patients. Every bed is full. Every nurse and doctor is occupied taking care of COVID patients, and then we struggle to be able to service the community for standard emergencies.
Despite strict stay-at-home measures that were set across most of the state last month, California, the most populous state with nearly 40 million people, leads the United States with nearly 2.6 million COVID-19 cases, over 1 million more than the next state, according to a Reuters tally of official data. Orange County officials had previously allowed hospitals to divert patients elsewhere when they were full, but now that virtually all the hospitals have reached capacity, that policy has been rescinded. Dr. Robert Goldberg is a pulmonary and critical care physician at Providence Mission.
The issue now is that there's so many patients coming in that we don't have the time like we had before. So it's good that we have the experience now and we're able to treat these patients, but the numbers of patients that are coming in is becoming overwhelming.
Dr. Goldberg appealed to the public to help reduce the spread.
COVID is real. It's life-threatening. People of all ages are dying. We need to work together. We need to get through this together. We need to wear masks, socially isolate, get the vaccine when it's available, and at some point we'll get this under control and move on, but we all need to do this together.